Welcome everybody. It's time for Bubble Talk with Burge. Are you ready to get burged? I'm ready to play with you today, and I welcome all of you here. And sorry I missed last Tuesday, and like I said, normally I do them on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. However, I'm choosing to deal with and support some people that are in need, and oftentimes I'm not able to be here at 4, but here I am. Hi, Skylar. So I just want to say welcome, and just know that what we're doing together in this Essence of Being community and in the Conscious Leadership Academy with Bubble Talk, so many words, yes, so many things we're doing. We are building that global movement of conscious leaders empowering others to create a win-win world. And Skylar's on, and Skylar, you are one of them. You are a leader, my friend. So today, and hi Paxton, oh my goodness, hi. Hi Joyce. We have a little one on. So today, normally what I do with you guys is I show you my cards, and we pick a card from our Essence of Being deck, which is these things, right? And we can pick a card today to give you something to focus on, but I wanted to really talk with you a little bit about communication, and also remind you and tell you, hi Corey, to remind you that we are in Liberia now. We have launched our Conscious Leadership Academy in Liberia for 15 to 25-year-olds, and then tomorrow we'll be launching the Conscious Leadership Academy in Liberia for the adults. So yay. So we're international with that. Essence of Being, of course, I've taught on 5 different continents, so we have people from all around the world. But it's kind of exciting that we have this platform now with Conscious Leadership Academy, that we can really reach a lot more people. We do have the live events and our online, but they're not able to join us on the live events right now. Okay, so I just want to say yay. And if you choose to go to essenceofbeing.com, you can click on Healing Forest Foundation, which Healing Forest Foundation is our 501c3, and you can donate to help support the kids over there. And I'll be going to Africa in July, so I'll be filming over there for you, and we'll be teaching some of the kids at the orphanages in Tanzania, which is different than Liberia. So it's we're just growing and growing, so I'm excited. So please grow with us. And speaking of growing, I wanted to ask you a question today. Instead of pulling a card necessarily, I just wanted to let you know we're in the communications module right now. Hi, Nancy Matthews. I'm going to call you later. I got your message. So I was just announcing we're in Africa now. We just launched our academy there. So go back and listen to the recording. I just talked a little bit about that. So what's happening is right now we are in our communication module with Conscious Leadership Academy. So I want to ask you a question. I want to talk a little bit about communication, okay? And ask, do you have foot and mouth disease? In other words, sometimes do you put your foot in your mouth and go, did I just say that? OMG, right? So sometimes when we communicate with people, oftentimes we may feel like we really can't tell them our truth, because we might hurt their feelings, or maybe we overpower people and we don't want to hear what they have to say, or maybe we judge ourselves and we just don't speak up and we don't have a voice. And we've been told that perhaps in our lives from many different places, or maybe in business you've been shut down because maybe you had a great idea and they just shut you down, and you just went and said, okay, I'm not important. So there's a lot of things in your business and in your personal life where communication is so key, and being able to have the confidence to stand in your power, in your truth, and say whatever it is that you choose to say with compassion, and then allowing it to be a two-way communication. So what we're going to be learning, by the way, in our 1 day of Essence of Communication is all about that. How do you get people to trust you? How do you get your message out there? Or how do you speak or communicate in a way where you feel heard, or that you allow others to feel heard? Because truly that's all we want, is to be acknowledged, right? So we want to be acknowledged, and we want to know that what we're doing in the world matters. and who we are and how we show up matters. And we really are building that global movement of conscious leaders empowering others to create a win-win world. So I'm asking you to do your part and focus this weekend on your communication. Okay? Hi, Deborah. So on our communication, what we're going to be learning about in our modules, if you're joining us with Conscious Leadership Academy, or come to the one-day Essence of Communication, and go along with all of our friends that are doing this in Africa and Asia and South America and Canada and Europe, okay? So we're all over the place doing these kinds of experiences to really create that win-win world. Yay. So, how do you have effective communication? Ask yourself, wow, do I find myself being misunderstood? Do people misunderstand me, or am I afraid to say something because I might get reprimanded, or I might hurt their feelings? Hi, Share Bear. Hi, Leah. Or I might, maybe we just don't know what we're saying is if it's going to land with people, and they might misunderstand what we're saying. And I think I talked about this a little bit last Bubble Talk, which was, hey, 7% of communication is text and email. It's written, right? So you're only getting 7%. So many of us, I love all the hearts. Keep them coming. So many of us, in this day and age, we Facebook, we email, we text. Okay, that's 7% of the communication. So we are totally not being 100% present with our communication. So what happens is, hi Stacy, what happens is you get misunderstood. Have you ever been misunderstood on a text? Or have you ever misunderstood somebody else and you jump to conclusions about what they meant? Okay, this happens all the time now, especially because we are in this kind of day and age. And so, hey, may I suggest, I'm going to give you 3 steps to effective communication, just to wet your whistle on it, because that's what we're involved in right now in our module with communications. Hi, Mary. Yay, Mary. She's one of our conscious leaders. Yay, Conscious Leadership Academy. So I'm going to give you these 3 steps, all right? But first, I wanted to ask you, do you pick up the phone? That's 38% of communication is your tone. And I've talked about this before, that a lot of people that are used to just hiding behind the words, unfortunately, you're missing out, and so is the other person, on maybe your entire experience of what you really mean, okay? So if you pick up the phone, at least you get tone. So that's 38%. Now, of course, the biggest one is body language, which is 55%. So with the body language, even if you do Facebook Live, or whether you do Zoom, or whether you're in person, which is even better. Hi, Shireen. What time is it over there in Malaysia? Anyway, I'm glad you're watching, hon. So just in case you guys didn't hear, we're in Asia and Africa and Canada and Europe and South America, and all over the US. So our Conscious Leadership Academy is growing and growing. Want to have you join in, and I miss all of you over there in my Asia. Miss you guys. So our African, we're starting with the adults tomorrow. We did the teenagers last week, and I'll be in orphanages in Tanzania in July, working with some of the younger kids. Okay, so we all can learn how to communicate. So what I want to say are 3 steps to communication, effective communication. Okay. And it has to be a 2-way street. So the first step is be present. Be present. Hello, duh. Now, what does that mean? Be present. So oftentimes when we are talking with someone, and maybe you're doing it right now, you're thinking about something else, maybe. Maybe you're checked out. You're not really present and really connecting with a person. And again, body language, tone, and text, written words, the words, all of that together is 100%. So if you're present with that person, you're actually tuning out all of the other distractions that you might have so that you could really hear what that other person is saying. And I said this before on my last Bubble Talk, it's so much more important for you to be interested than interesting. Although we are all interesting, yes. However, when you're in communication, if you really want to have effective, courageous, conscious communication, telling your truth with compassion, you have to be present and allow that other person to speak and to hear what they're really saying, okay? And I give you a lot of techniques that you can do this with, but for now, I just want to give you the steps. So you can come to our communication class and learn all the good stuff, right? Or do it online, because it's all online now. So one of the steps of being present is being able to actively listen. And we have these blocks sometimes to listening. One of them is checking out, like I said before. You check out, you don't know, you're thinking about the coffee pot, you're thinking about driving home, you're not really listening to what I'm saying, are you? Hello, hello, hi Jonathan. So some of you may not be listening even, and that's checking out, okay? Another block to listening can be rehearsing. So a lot of times we rehearse. We rehearse what we're going to say because maybe we are too afraid of saying something the wrong way that might hurt someone's feelings, or not being able to speak up and tell our truth because we're afraid to do that. Hi, Paul. There's our Liberia guy right there, ready for tomorrow for our conscious leadership in Liberia with the adults tomorrow. So yay. Okay, so I did present. All right. See, I got distracted. Now, how conscious and how effective is that as a communicator, right? Okay. So another thing that you can do when you are listening, or you're blocking your listening, is you could be judging. Okay. You could be judging yourself. You could be judging me. You could be saying to yourself, I already know all this, so why do I have to listen? All right. You could be judging yourself. Hi, Steve. Funny you should come in on judging yourself, right? So you could be judging yourself on, maybe I'm not important enough to be here. I'm not able to really listen in a really effective way, okay? So judging, checking out, rehearsing. And rehearsing can also be very key in relationships and personal relationships and business, because we all think we know what that other person's going to say, don't we? Okay, if we've been in any kind of relationship with someone for any length of time, oftentimes what happens is we think, oh, we already know what they're going to say. Hurry up and say it. We just got distracted because I know what I'm going to say next. And we're not really listening. We're not listening to what they're really saying, okay? Because we've already rehearsed everything that we're going to say about it. So it just glosses over, and we're not being really actively listening to that person. Now, I want to give you a few more, okay? And then we'll go to step 2 and step 3 really fast. And I'm not going to give you everything. Come to Essence of Communication and you'll learn everything. Or also, you can join our Conscious Leadership Academy, just like all the other people are around the world, and they're going to be able to be effective communicators because we are conscious leaders out there, everybody, and it's up to us, okay? So let me see. Oh, another one that we do when we listen, when we don't listen, is we compare. We compare our lives. We think, oh, our life is way more interesting than their life is. Or we compare our stories and say, well, you know, you think you have it bad. Let me compare with my life, because what you're saying has nothing to do with me, because my life is more important. Okay. Hey, Jimmy. So another way that we compare also is we say, wow, that person really has it a lot worse than I do. And therefore, hi, Dana. So California's here. So if we compare ourselves, sometimes we're not even listening to what they're saying because we're putting ourselves down, saying that, wow, we've really not had it so bad, and they have, okay? Or the opposite. And another way that we are not actively listening to people is we will be mind readers, right? We think we can read someone's mind. We know what they're saying. So oftentimes, especially in a personal relationship, you think that you're reading their mind. They think, oh, they already know what I'm thinking. I don't have to tell them my truth. I don't have to go into detail, or I don't have to be specific. Just read my mind, okay? And they should know better. How many times have you felt that way? They should know how I'm feeling. They should know what I'm thinking. So not everybody's a mind reader, but that is one way that we stop and we block being present and listening, okay? I could go on and on about, there's many of these, but let me pick another one that's really cool. Well, the one I talked about before was advising. So many of us want to help. We want to help people. And so we listen to what they have to say, maybe 1 or 2 sentences in, and then we realize, oh, I've got great advice for them. Let me share it. So sometimes they don't want to hear your advice. They just want to share. They don't want necessarily to be fixed. So oftentimes we will try to do that, and that keeps us not present with that person. They're not being heard. They're not being acknowledged. We're just trying to fix them, okay? Because it makes us feel better if we can help somebody else, right? And so it's not that we're having negative intent. It's just that we're not effectively communicating or listening to them when we try to give them advice, especially if they haven't asked for it. So one of the things you can say is, may I give you some advice, but after they've already shared with you whatever that is. And if they say yes, go ahead, okay? But if they say no, then you can just say, well, it's very interesting what you said, and maybe what all they need is just to have somebody hear them and just listen to them so they feel heard, so they won't feel afraid to speak up next time, okay? So I'm going to give you one more. Sparring, I don't want to go into fighting, although a lot of times in personal relationships, we go right into fighting. Who's going to be right? And we call it sparring. And oftentimes we just want to have an argument, and they have to be right. Many of us feel like we have to be right in our arguments. So let me bring up all the things that I'm right and you're wrong about. And then you get into a fight. And that's not really an effective communicator, okay? That's not really being a conscious leader. So if you start out the conversation with, well, let me tell you why you're wrong, I don't know about you, but I would shut down, okay? So there's so many ways that you can communicate your truth with someone and still be able to get your point across, okay? But just ask yourself, do I have to be right? So this weekend, and I know we're in a holiday season right now. There's a lot of wonderful things going on around the world. Here in the U.S., we're having Memorial Day, but just notice, do I listen actively? Okay, am I being present with that person? The second step, I'm not going to go through the other, I might go through one more. A lot of times when someone tells us, I'll tell you one more thing, this is a really good one. When somebody's telling us a story or they're telling us about anything, we start thinking about how does that affect us, or how did we go through that, or how can we identify with that? And so what we end up doing is we start saying, oh, well, let me tell you about my story. And they just kind of jump in and overpower anything that you're about to say, because we start identifying and saying, I can relate with that. And let me tell you about my story. And oftentimes if you're talking with someone who has been shut down, or is afraid to tell their truth, or doesn't speak up very much, they're going to totally shut down. You're going to take over. So just notice if you're one of those kind of people who just kind of take over the conversation about your life and your story, okay? And just notice if you're one of those people who let somebody do that. And so I would say stand in your power. If you're one of those people, stand in your power, stand in your truth, and say, I'm not finished. Let me tell you about my story, or let me tell you what I'm thinking. And for me, the truth is, okay? Those are magic words. Magic words. Hi, Howard. For me, the truth is. And hi, Juliana. If you say those words before you speak with somebody, especially if you're thinking you're going to get into an argument, or if you're walking into a place where they maybe you've been in an argument before with them, or it's confrontive, you might want to use those words. Because the truth for me is, they cannot say to you, no, that's not your truth, right? Hi, Michelle. They cannot say that. They may disagree with what you're saying, but that is not, they cannot say that's not your truth. So use those words before you start a conversation. For me, the truth is. Okay? Hi, Mary. So that is step one, all of that stuff. Step two is basically being responsible, owning your own communication. So an effective communicator, when they've made a mistake or when they've said something that may be off or maybe they've gone overboard, take responsibility. Take responsibility for your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, and also your words and your communication. And it's interesting how this works, because right now, but like I said, in our Conscious Leadership Academy, we're in the module of communication. And the essence of communication is coming up as far as our live event, okay? And it's so interesting that we're having a lot of things happen around us right now about how to communicate with each other. And people are coming up with being afraid to say their truth. And we're really encouraging people to do that. And they are. And they're saying their truth with compassion. Duh. And guess what's happening? They're being heard. And the other people are taking responsibility. So we're learning how to, as conscious, courageous leaders, taking responsibility for maybe something that we said that was not necessarily with compassion, or maybe it was misunderstood. Okay, and saying, yeah, I can see how that would have been misunderstood. Step three, and again, I've got so many, but I only have a few minutes left to share with you on this. But if you're interested, come to Essence of Communication. So go to essenceofbeing.com/CLA, which is our Conscious Leadership Academy platform, or just go to our Essence of Communication part of it, okay? And the third step is create synergy. And what I mean by that is understanding that there are other people in the world, okay, that may not be thinking like you, they may not be speaking like you. So in order to create synergy, you have to be able to understand, right, that there's a resolution that you can come to without having to fight and argue and justify your point of view. So creating synergy, remember, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I love all the little thank you for thumbing up and hearting. Share this too, by the way. If this resonates with you, share this, because it's really going to help you. I really want you to focus on it this weekend. Coming to resolution with something that is not, it's not really compromising. It's coming to a resolution, is really coming together and listening to each other in an effective way, so that you don't have to agree, okay? But you don't have to be throwing knives the whole time or going running and hiding either. So I encourage all of us to be effective communicators and stand in your truth, tell your truth with compassion, okay? That's the compassion part. And have the empathy, of course. You have to have empathy in order to do that. So put yourself in other people's shoes sometimes, because what you're saying to them might be landing on them in a totally different way than you want, than you intend, okay? Assume positive intent. So there's so many things I can talk about communication, and I'm so excited about this module for all of us. And like I said, I'm excited that we're growing. We're all over the planet right now with Conscious Leadership Academy and our Essence of Being programs and all of the things that we are doing together. I encourage all of you to come play with us, check it out, and share all of this. And my challenge for you is be present, take responsibility for your communications, and create synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Create synergy by allowing other people their own opinions and their own thoughts and their own beliefs. And yet Come to resolution with that. Be at peace with that. And with all of that, I say to you, you have been Burged, and I will see you next time.